Probably a mile and a half in, I finally found that seep I was going for. Not much. I guarantee last night, though, I would have been scooping out of that puddle and that puddle, or just using the life straw. Right there seems to actually be one of the better candidates. Where are you on here? There we go, right there. See, you got some flow there. So that would probably be doable. I don't think there's anything better down there. But I'm in a better mood this morning, so I'm just going to keep on trucking. Walk's been fairly easy. There were a few down trees that almost slid off the trail getting around the... You can see where people had gone around, but what you didn't see is that the side of that trail gave way real easy. So I just slid on some mud right before the spring. My problem today has been my back, keeping this hammock cinched on. I don't like to tie tight knots because then I hate myself later on. Why did you do that? But it slipped off like 3 times, and whenever it slips off from where I've got it attached, it bounces around. And you wouldn't think 8 or 10 pounds bouncing around that far off your back would throw you as much as it does, but it does. Or it gets bouncing up and down like a trampoline. And with these trails, I didn't want to chance it. They've had some pretty steep areas. Oh, hey, sorry. I didn't realize I was zoomed in. Still, boop, boop. There, that's better. Forgive my camera work. I'm not a YouTuber. So, I think it's still a mile to the shelter and 0.7 to knock. I refused to check my app to see because, again, it gets disheartening whenever you think, oh, I'm so close. Like, I can hear the speedboats out on the lake. But sound travels up these hills pretty well. Last night was probably the toughest night. So the night before that wasn't absolutely wonderful. But last night was tough. My legs, it's like restless leg syndrome. They just like jerk you awake kicking. I didn't take any Benadryl or anything, so I might try to do that tonight. Well, I probably won't have much of a hike today, so I might not have to. But something just to get it to calm down. It's not cramps, but it is like spasms. And I have that on regular days where I just feel the need to kick, but my goodness, I didn't go to bed till like 1. And I got up at 7, and I was actually out of camp by, I think, 8 o'clock. So I've been going for, an hour and a half. That put me at 1.7 or 2 miles. Can't remember if it was 1.7 or 2, 1.9. That stream was from where I stayed. So, making my way down. Town. I can't remember the rest of that song. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. You're not supposed to sing on the trail. No, you're not supposed to whistle on the trail. Makes bad juju come your way. So I don't really remember how far the shelter or the knock is from here. I should still be there by noon. I think Steve and Paula does not like downhills. She climbs down them about like I do. So even if they left at 6, they're not going to catch me anytime soon. Although, it would have been cool to be up there to see the sunrise, though it was kind of cloudy, so it was just more like a pinkish, broad sunrise. And I'm not sure you could see from the other side where the sun would be coming up at because it was so dense up there. Man, I mean, if you look up there at that mountain, I'm only halfway down it. And this one was taller. Lots of steps. Lots of steps. I haven't run into so many rocks though, so there is that. That's how slow I get down steps, especially when I'm doing it one-handed. I was thinking also last night about one of the guys I talked to at the shelter yesterday about, he was younger generations and how they take offense at everything, and how that was used as weaponization or weaponized against others. Whereas I think older generations, your emotions were your responsibility. If you got offended, you walked and you found someplace else that you weren't so offended by. But after that, you learn to keep your offense in check a little bit more. Whenever it costs you time and energy to go find a new place, you learned you could tolerate a little bit more. And I talked to him about some of the skill building I did with kiddos, about tolerance and resiliency and all this, blah, blah, blah. In that discussion, though, I said, I think one of the things is that we adopted a new language of offense and whatever else, and that it's been weaponized in a way, and we don't have a good way to respond. So as I was laying there kicking my feet, staring up at the fireflies, it occurred to me that there seems to be an asymmetric moralization that goes on, that you can do something like concern trolling or whatever, right, where you're reaching out to somebody. I'm really worried about you, right? Even if you haven't talked to them in 10 years or know who they are anymore, because people change over a decade. And then offer some unsolicited advice. Now, if somebody says, why are you stirring up shit? Stuff, sorry. Again, not YouTube for kids. Why are you stirring it up? The person can feign ignorance and say, well, and maybe they do believe it was just out of concern. But that was not solicited, right? And to indicate that you now believe that someone else is living their life wrong. And in some ways, that's what happens in systems of control all the time, or how people wrest control. And we don't have a good way to call people out when they're doing that in an efficient manner. Because if you do and just say, hey, stop that, they feign ignorance, and nobody ever can see that they're actually doing it out of malice or spite or stirring up performative drama, whatever. And so I was able to think on that for some time. And I know all that's boring to almost anybody watching, but that was one of the things I came out here to do, was to think on that kind of stuff and see if there's not an effective way that we can start addressing some of those issues, which I believe are some of our cultural problems we have today, is that we don't know how to respond to what I'm going to call for now asymmetric moralizing. I used to call it virtue signaling, but apparently that carries a different connotation for people online. So, anyways, that's what's going on in my head today. It's a scary place to be, but it keeps my head off the fact that I really don't like roots, and I do not like this part of the trail. It's just not pleasant for me right now. But if I get a pizza in me, or some water, maybe that'll help. I'll hope that it ends up being sooner rather than later. Till then, look where I made it to. It's not totally sucking yet. This is their, I guess, Olympian training whitewater course or something. It's pretty cool. There's a ducky down there. canoe slalom. And I have no idea of what I'm getting over here, but maybe nothing. Okay, I'll find a place to charge my stuff. Big old rocks. They'd be cool to hide under during a storm. I think. Might get flooded out. Jump up in there. Yeah, that's a good one. So I'm leaving the knock. It's about 5 o'clock. I rolled in about 9:30 or 10, I suppose. Ran across some gentlemen that were evangelizing early on today, so we had a good 9-hour conversation. It was solid. We came to a lot of similar beliefs, I think, or resolutions to our beliefs. So, never leave me open to a religious discussion for that long. I tried to upload videos. So here's the deal. Everybody likes getting to knock. Cool place. Nice river. Canoes and kayaks all over the place. Everybody's sitting around having $20 hamburgers. I didn't even check to see what the pizza price was. Their general store, $5 tortillas, $4 cheese for a little old thing. So I did get some merino wool socks because that was the consensus of all the old guys I talked to, is you really need better socks if you're not going to get better shoes. So I did, and I must say they feel nice and cozy, a little bit softer than those Dickies cotton socks I was wearing. I know I overpaid for them, but you overpay for a leave at the gas station if you need it too, don't you? But I sat around, didn't eat any of the Knox food, tried to upload videos, sat there for 8 hours, not a single video could upload because our Wi-Fi was so terrible. So I believe if you've got restaurant services there, if you're overcharging for hiker meals by 4 times what they should be, you can probably afford to open up the Wi-Fi. I would have paid for better Wi-Fi. Nothing. So, kind of like Mountains Crossings, I don't really get what the big deal was. I just walked out feeling like you're walking out of a car dealership, just trying to extract money out of you. So, anyways, looked cool. Good conversation. It was a place to sit around, but I could have sat around at the shelter probably and had the same conversation. I just don't get it. A lot of people come out here with a lot of money, though. I don't mind throwing it around. It's like a vacation. So, I guess they weren't overpriced on their bags. I did look at them. Backpacks were sub 200. This mountain, I hope I can just make it like the first 2 miles. That'd put me at a very short day. It'd put me at a half a day, but considering how long I stayed up there and talked, it's probably a win, all things considered. And then that'll put me on Fontana, hopefully midday Friday. And I should have a resupply box, which means I probably need to start chowing down on some of the food I have so I can fit it all in my bag. Anyways, that was my day. Not a lot of really cool stuff hiking wise. Again, had I known the Wi-Fi was that slow, I just would have walked through. Just pointless. I don't like that. It's such a wasted potential, I think. But I guess they're making money elsewise, so good on them. All right, I'm huffing and puffing and blowing. Starting to sweat. It means I'm going to be dripping sweat in about 2 minutes. I'll check in whenever I finally find a place to camp. Steve and Paula, I hope they made it to the top today, because that's what they were gunning for. But I won't be catching them before Fontana. I think they're planning on being there on Thursday, so I gave them the YouTube channel so they can see how far I make it before I tap out. And we'll check back in later today. Sorry, I ran into somebody. You know how I feel about filming other people on the trail. So, had to cut off. He said he thought they were rhododendrons. So, at least I'm not the only one under that impression then. I think this was a campground that they said had a blowdown in it. It's not much of a campground now, is it? I like these trees. I don't know why. They're neat. They're good to sit under if it's raining. See, so you got the white flowers, you got the pink flowers. I wonder how they smell. They do not smell. Watch me break out in some rash now. So, anyways, just admiring the flowers. Oh my, look at this one. Boom. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, well, I'll check in again at some point in time. I know I should keep walking, but it's been a lazy day, kind of a bust of a day. Didn't get anything done that I wanted to. I talked a lot, which I guess I'm out here to do, but just disappointed, man. I wanted to offload some of those videos. Oh well, I'm fussing. That means I'm hungry. Should have eaten at the knock more than my tortillas and cheese. Them's the breaks, kids. I don't get to video this part of the trails, but there are definitely places where it gets fairly closely grown together, where you're brushing through plants, and generally, these are nice. Generally, it's blackberries. Those will grab at you and rip at you and cut your arms up some, and then it just opens back up. But then you're back into it. I've been able to make it nearly 2 miles in, I think. There should be some campsites right up here that are reported to have good water at. So it's a little bit of a hike to the water. But you know me, if I can find a campsite by some good water, I am fairly content. I don't even need that much food. I just like to make sure that I'm right by water, that I can hump up 3 liters or whatever and then tie that off and filter from and chug away. I think that was part of my problem, because I only came like 2 miles today after or before I came down the hill. I guess I might have done 5 miles. So, not horrific. I'd say that if I don't die first. Shouldn't record this, but getting a little gutsy late in the evening. I can crawl to water, I think. Look at all those. Isn't that just pretty? Right, across the corner. There we go. And then you get rhododendrons. I think because I forgot that I didn't eat supper last night. I just had some candy bars coming down off the mountain. Didn't eat breakfast. I had some tortillas and cheese today, but that was it. I was so mad at the food prices. Holy smokes. And even though I was there and they had clean drinkable water, I didn't drink all that much water either. And then I pounced on this hike at a warmer part of the day. So I've sweated through my shirt. I'm just dripping. My bag's wet, my shirt's wet, my shorts are getting wet now. Lots of sweat. That's why they call me Salt Lake. I'm pretty beat. And I shouldn't be, because it wasn't a long day. I sat on my rear end most of it, waiting for the videos to upload, which never did. I'm so mad about that. Whatever. But that means tomorrow I'll only have, I might be 2.5 in. I think it was 1.5 to the road. The spring is a must. Yes, it's 2.5. So I've got this plus another mile to do again tomorrow, but coming at it fresh might actually be better whenever it's cooled. It's really pretty though. I like it when it opens up a little bit like that. I'm not saying that if I was desperate, I would maybe just make a tree bend over to where I could hang a hammock in an area like that, but I might if I was desperate. And then this is where I know there's a campsite. Say this is for 3 or 4 tents. That looks like one. There was supposed to be a blue blaze on a tree to the left down to water. And that I'm not seeing. Oh, up here. This might be it. See, this is how you explore with Triton. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just walking. That one looks like it's a little bit more established. Ooh, that's a big tree down. That would be scary if you were camping here and that fell over. And then the water was supposed to be to the left of the campsites. Let's see if we can explore and find a blue blaze. I'm pretty sure this is the camping site. Unfortunately, well, those trees back there might work for the hammock. And there's a blue blaze. See it? See it? Again, that looks pretty darn fresh. Like, the dirt has only been trampled on in a few places. There's still clods, so. And that ground is still wet. You get green leaves under there. So that one came up not long ago at all. Anyways, there's a blue blaze. That means there's water down there. Oh, there's the other blue blaze right there. So I'll hoof it down there with some 3-liter bags. That's where I get set up here. And this will be my camp for the evening. Look at those rocks though. Huh, this is pretty cool. Come see with me. It's huge. scaredy cat, so I don't actually like camping right that close. I'll probably use these two trees. Check for widow makers. Make sure you're not gonna die. That's like an army killer. Oh, look at that. Somebody left some trash. Thanks, people. Jackasses. Yeah, right here looks good. There to there. Boop, boop. Holy smokes. Okay, so I was recording earlier. I was talking about a bear that I think is up there. And I don't know, probably 300 or 400 yards off. So there was this tree that fell down in this campsite. A huge one just fell down and took about 3 or 4. I didn't get to see it, but you could hear it. It was big. One big crash, and then all heck broke loose. And I could see there's a little gap now where it was. That was amazing. If a tree falls in the forest and no one's around, somebody will hear it because it makes a lot of noise. Wowzer. That was cool. I guess I'll get to go see where it was because it was way out there, but that's the second, because this tree just fell down pretty recently. That one just did and took a lot with it. That was cool. I mean, terrifying if you're right by it, but, and then how did they there's no wind. None at all. No wind, no reason. It gives way. Huh. So I've been hearing something up there. There was trash all around this campsite and everything else. I haven't seen any bear scat or bear sign or prints, but I'm pretty sure they were bears. There were deer down by the water. So I got that. It was, I swear I see something. Sometimes when you move through leaves, it looks like something. I'm going to be paranoid tonight. I'm setting up a perimeter alarm. Just too noisy. Whatever that is, too close and it's making a lot of racket and throwing around some big stuff. So, tonight's the first night that I'm going to hang my bag. Anyways, an eventful day. It's kind of fun talking to those evangelists. One of them was learning how to talk to people. He was pretty shy. But we talked a lot about psychology and how I'd come to my beliefs through behaviorism, in a way. So he was really interested in that. And just understanding how people experience things and perception and all of that. Good long talk. They were not your traditional preachers. See, squirrels sound like they're big, and they're not. I'm hoping that's like an armadillo, because those sound huge in the night, but I don't think it's an armadillo. And he's not very avoidant, whatever he is. I made a lot of noise. Doesn't care. Still up there foraging. So I'll have to hang my bag, set up my perimeter alarm. It's getting pretty dark. But I need to eat my food before I hang my bag, you know? So I'm getting it all done. I've got a headlamp. And then we'll see what happens tonight. Sorry, you can see it in my nose. Tonight's the first night that I actually regret kind of being out here because my kiddo has a concert, but hopefully my wife can record it or they'll live stream it or something. I couldn't get reception to watch it if it is live streamed, but I really like their end of year concert where everybody plays together. So, but at least we have technology so I can still watch it, feel like I'm part of it. tomorrow, I hope I'll make it all the way up the mountain. And then Fontana in a few days. There's a box waiting, or will be a box waiting for me with some goodies in it. And then the Smokies after that. So hopefully everything holds up. Like I said today, kind of boring, even though I did like half a day at the end and waited around for a long time at the knock. If I don't get eaten by a bear tonight, if I do, I only have satellite connectivity. I don't have hardly any reception at all. So we'll hope for the best. I told everybody I had a dog that died. And I feel like sometimes the way the little creatures are, they remind me of them, like the tilt of the head or just kind of how they hang around. So I talk to him and I stick him outside the hammock, and he's done a good job protecting me so far. So maybe he'll chase away the bears. It's funny because he was so small, he would be snapped up and eaten by an owl in about 2 seconds out here. But he was spunky, so maybe I'll chase the bears away. If not, I'm gonna cry like a girl in the woods. But if no one's around, does anybody hear a man crying like a little girl in the woods? I don't think so. That tree was still really cool though. So if I see a bear, I'll pick the phone up and I'll cry in the phone. What you gonna do, right? I'm not moving. The bear can move around me.